imagine like building a city out of wood. Like, and you want to have that vision. You want to say, I want to build a skyscraper. There are great designer makers in this country. The challenge that we may have is to make the stuff. I've got serious passion for this thing. I know where I want to take the business. The satisfaction of making something with your hands and then seeing the end result. As humans, we're all born to do that.
David, thanks so much for having me here today. For those people that don't know you, tell me, what are you known for and what is your mission for the future?
It's very broad. I design and make furniture. Well, that's what I'm known for. For me, I've always played with timber, my medium. And I think I'm known for executing it in various ways. As my skill have progressed over the last 18 years, I've been able to apply it on a larger and larger scale. And so at the moment I'm known for furniture. In the future, I hope to be known for doing larger scale executions as well. So
you grew up in Piet Retief, which is a tiny town. I've been there a few times. What was it like growing up in a small town? And tell me a bit more about your father and how you first started with woodwork.
Yeah, so Piet Retief, it's known for its forestry. So it's most forestry town. Everything that is in Piet Retief revolves around that, whether it's paper, pulp, chipboard, saw logs. It's all grown in the area. So I grew up in a hotel in Piet Retief. My dad owned the hotel, but he also did various other things. About 20 years ago, he decided he's going to get out of, like most of his businesses, and focus on growing timber full time. So my early high school years, we moved back to the farm, and with my dad having this long-term view, he's going to wait for his timber to grow, which is an interesting way to farm because you have to wait. So a lot of my upbringing has been influenced by that. And obviously having a lot of timber around me. So obviously we had a sawmill on the farm, very low-key operation, nice tools. My dad made furniture for the hotel, so he bought machinery, so he had machinery. So I was able to sort of get into it. Obviously, as you grow up, business, what are you going to do with your life? I started making elementary items on a lathe, because that's the only tool I was able to use, and my dad allowed me to use that tool. Because he was scared of my fingers. And so I made bar chairs, started turning bowls. Bowls turned into the first product, which became a light, just as LEDs were coming out. Sort of a gap. Designs always have, gaps. First product, saw business opportunity. I studied winemaking. I was a winemaker, worked in the States for a while, and so like if I'm going to be serious about this passion, or which I thought was a passion, I'm going to have to get serious about it and move back to the farm. Was in America, made the decision to move back to the farm, so I'm going to pursue furniture or working with wood, and that's sort of how the business started. Small town is amazing in certain aspects. It gives you a specific mindset, which I think was it's everything good for its, good in its stage. But most of all, being in my own bubble, just creatively, just doing my own thing, making it and putting it out there, seeing if there's an audience, very honest transition of work, very slow. It was a good breeding ground for my skill, and then became very busy. Gradually over 6 years, and then moved to Joburg. Business grew, went through various phases, did lots of work throughout that, and to the point where we are now, lots of in between now.
Yeah, so in 2007 you changed from winemaking and you decided you're going to do your furniture full time.
Yeah.
And so how did you make that decision? I can imagine if your parents are concerned that David studied winemaking and agriculture, now we are pursuing furniture making.
Well, thankfully my parents are they're very supportive in that way. My dad is you can do anything. We're not bound by doing that. Obviously I wanted to finish my studies. I had a very brother and sister were overachievers, so I couldn't be the one not to finish my studies. So I had to do it, even though I knew I wanted to pursue something else. Wanted to go to Stellenbosch, thought winemaking would be creative, but I soon realized that wasn't I'm not saying it's not creative, it just wasn't my outlet. I think the satisfaction of making something with your hands and having a direct result on that, and then seeing the end result was what drew me initially. It's an amazing feeling being able to imagine, then create, and then see it. I think we, as humans, we are all born to do that, and I think we all, once we do that, we sort of get to realize that. For me, thankfully it happened really early on. So I was I can do this every day of my life. I can make a business out of it. And so that was the mission. My mom just said, she's not paying for any of my clothes. It's I'm on my own. Moved back into my parents' house, which wasn't cool. But that was what I had to do, and that's the nature of startup.
Absolutely, for any creative. And okay, so you were busy making smaller pieces, and then in 2014 something happened with the Southern Guild.
Yeah. Look, I after about 3 years of just doing products, getting my first product to design in Durban, getting exposure, I started getting interest from Southern Guild, which then all of a sudden asked, do something cool. Now I have to do something cool. It's a big challenge. So going through getting those challenges and designing items that were received well, it gave me the sort of boosters. But what came out of that were bigger projects. So I was forced to move from the farm to where by that stage I had 3 workers. I built small houses for them to stay on the farm. I couldn't get more talent to the farm, so okay, I have to move to Joburg. So that was the main shift that happened. Up until then, everything was very very freehand, very jig. How to design something wasn't formal. So I had to go through that shift.
And then 2016, you did a project which sent you into the realm of architecture.
Yeah, look, so I grew up with these amazing American books with timber construction, and those books were you don't realize it at the time, but you look through these and these books are so cool, you don't know that's your passion. You just know, well, these books are really cool, So I've had that. My dad grows timber, so I need, like, it's a lot of timber. It's a small quantity, but still a lot. So in order to use it, you have to be able to use timber at scale. So, you know, scale of timber is something that has to form part of the business. So it was sort of a natural thing. But in 2014, I went to Ligna, which is a woodwork show in Germany. And when I saw that, I was like, my mind was blown, because I saw all these machines that you could buy that, you know, you could make all of this. You know, it's all possible with the right machine and the right equipment. So, like, very inspired, but very naive, because, you know, the type of investment required to import such machines are immense. You need a really big business. You need a massive pipeline of work. The South African market just can't sustain that. It's not at that stage. So you're coming back amazing but despondent, because, you know, you want to do it, but how can you possibly do it? So I went back to, like, just thinking about what I can do. The only thing that I could afford, you know, I was looking at these 5-axis CNC machines that can do structural work and all of that. I mean, that was 5 to 10 million rand 10 years ago for a small business. So I set out to see what I can do. So at that stage, I had an idea of making a cabinet for Southern Guild. And I thought about a process on a 3-axis machine, which I knew somebody that had one, and I could make it on their machine. So I thought, proof of concept first, and make this thing, and then spent a week just making it. And when I built it, I went like crazy. I sort of like, I can build anything. That was my epiphany.
Your aha moment.
Yeah, my aha moment. You know, because it's based on, like, a blueprint of external shapes, basically. And if I could build the shape, I can build the item. So I bought my first CNC machine in 2014, just after building this, and I did an exhibition with this execution. Since that moment, I knew, like, I can do this bigger and bigger. So, and now having the ability, a couple that was working for me at the time, Gideon and Anna Pietersche, they were getting married, and we said, let's design a chapel. So Gideon designed the chapel for his own wedding, and we built a chapel. So that was the first project, made from, like, wet timber from my dad's farm. We built the chapel in 2 weeks.
Wow, 2 weeks.
So that was like the first execution. Building done, now you've got a business. So and now you've done structures. Didn't turn out that way, but basically, soon after that, Kleine Rijke, the opportunity to build something with my family-in-law, and we went for it. It was also a bit of a spur of the moment decision, and I got to execute the same thing on a slightly larger scale, which offered me learning opportunity and detailing opportunities.
But maybe going through that, you know, the smaller chapel gave you a bit of confidence so that you were ready to then push through to the bigger scale, Kleine Rijke.
Look, a little naivety goes a long way. I'm not an architect. I'm not an engineer. I know what goes into buildings. And in a way, you have to be naive, go into it, and then learn by doing what, you know. So yes, I have to do a detailing error here and there. I have to do this. I have to physically see this doesn't work, or that. So the prototyping is the most crucial part of everything. And if you're not going to prototype on that scale, like, don't bring it back. The Kleine Rijke, and then after doing the smaller structures with more intricate detailing, pods, external units, that sort of set me up to be confident enough to do which I've recently done a project where it's slightly bigger scale, a bit more serious. So I've gradually got into it. But what I was going to say, 7 years after the first chapel, exactly 7 years, is when I sold my first architectural project. So, so it was pivotal to start then. But so the iteration of that has been like a journey, and sort of where I am, at the moment. All
fascinating.
Can't be done without doing it.
Yeah.
So
I love this idea that you lead with prototyping, you lead with making, but at the same time you famously have a sketchbook, and I've seen a lot of your design ideas come from these early impressions. How important is drawing?
Like, I think every human has a different way of expressing themselves. I can express myself in many ways. I can write, I can sing, I can do whatever.
Can you sing?
I won't,
Don't sing.
Won't do that now. But so for me, from hand to end product is a route of expression. But if I want to experiment with geometry, and that's the only way for me to get it is with AutoCAD, which gives me the geometry very quickly. I can draw it out. That in its own mind gives me a different result, and it's a form of expression. Like if you do like a reinterpretation of a Cape Dutch, you sort of want to leave it unpolluted by being in a way. So there's like an honest expression of what it already is. So each thing has a different thing. What I like about the freehand expression is it's like a lot of weight for the moment, because it's going to become something, and like it is what it is. So I love that part of it. But it's not the one or the other. And I think you should be open to being inspired in whichever way. Maybe it's a sketch from the client, it's like, and that needs to go into a different workflow to get that result. So what I like about sketching is it's always a surprise. You're like, okay, because you can physically go and say, okay, I'm going to do 10 products now, and I've done it. And you do a doodle and it becomes a product, and you do another doodle and it becomes a product. Because it's all it is. I mean, you can imagine wood in any shape or form. Like,
so you've literally sat and said, I'm going to design 10 products now.
Yeah.
And then you sit down and you do it.
Yes. Yeah, I can show you the drawing.
I'd love to see.
But that is, it's more like seeing a shape and then imagining what it can be, and then it becomes a product, as opposed to I'm going to do a light chandelier. Now I'm going to do a shape and it becomes a chandelier because the shape decided it's going to be that. So it's just like putting the order in for what it basically can be. I mean, we're living in like a crazy world. I mean, here we have artificial intelligence, which is like my competition apparently, and it gives you ideas like that. I mean, how are we going to capture the human spirit in this?
Yeah. We're gonna get back to artificial intelligence in a moment, because I think it's an important point. But I've seen you mention before that you feel there's a sense of intuition with your drawings, and your furniture has a lot of organic lines. Do you think that's a coincidence, or do you think the shapes that you are finding are inspired by nature, so there's a natural step there?
What I do there is a line, and it's direct and it's from me, so it's as true as a design it can be. And what it is, then like, what if it reminds you about organic nature? Just look around you. Like, it's the way we've been created.
It's there.
It's the way it's been created. If it reminds you of specific geometry, the geometry was also created in the way that it works. So we've got the opportunity to play with it, and depending on where you choose to play, that sort of like if it's maybe it's a historic design and you're reinterpreting a design. That person gave you that. It's a beautiful story. It is what it is because it came from him, and I reinterpreted. It's a completely different story, but it was all created. It's not like my bright idea.
Okay, so what's your secret, David, to designing a good piece of furniture?
You asked me this question a bit earlier.
Yes.
I think anything good comes out of work. I mean, you have to put your head down and you have to work and you have to do it and you have to sit down, and it comes with a lot of work. Because I mean, I can say I've had amazing designs. Like then I look at the chair one, for instance. Yes, it was an amazing design. I loved the shape when I did it, but I soon realized it's not so comfortable. So I had to reiterate, and I made a 102, I made a 103, I made a 104, which is the one I'm sitting on. So it's iteration, and you have to work, and it's not good where it is. It's not really necessarily stagnant, especially with furniture. I mean, the architecture's the responsibility is I can't even accept that responsibility because it's there and then it's just there.
Do you think there's more of a responsibility towards architecture than furniture?
Look, if you get to the point where somebody asks you to build a building, then it means they trust you that you would be able to execute on it, and then the responsibility is huge on that specific scenario.
It's funny you say that because I'm an architect and I feel the same way about designing a chair. Because I believe that people spend more time in a chair. They could spend their whole life loving a particular chair or using a chair or sitting at a chair at a dining table for 20, 30 years and only spend a fraction of that time in their office building.
Yeah, sure. There are different ways of thinking about this because I can think about it that way and I can think about it in another way. I don't want to be too precious about my creativity. So I can spend 20 years figuring out this chair, but it's in a way it seems a bit limiting because it sort of puts you in the position where you can't do other chairs.
Yeah.
And you just focused and I get the love and the passion that goes into perfecting a chair. And if I had the capacity, all I would be doing is just perfecting my chairs because I have that within me. But another part of me just wants to say, like, how creative can you be? And like push the boundaries of that. Like you want to say, like, let's design 10 chairs today and see what they come. Like maybe one is good. We're able to build 10 chairs today. So be quite creative. You're basically creative in it.
Yeah, I love that you operate with that freedom, and that you say we're going to try and bring rapid manufacturing into it. And there's a sense of experimentation that you're describing with saying, let's try 10 designs. How far do you push a concept before you realize this is something, I'm onto something?
I think it develops in your mind beforehand because you get to develop an instinct for it. So the I'm onto something is normally when you design it and when it clicks in. So this is right. Sometimes you only realize it afterwards. So it's not always like that. I think most ideas are good, but it's only after tweaking it You know, I can use many examples like office pods or phone booths, or like they're good ideas in the beginning. Like in principle, there's a market or whatever, but now you need to get down. How are you going to make it? How are you going to manufacture? Like are you going to improve it? Where are the niggles? And that's where like a whole bunch of the work comes in. So, I mean, my idea of designing 10 chairs is it's a little bit of a ludicrous idea. You know, it's like, who has the capacity to do that? But I don't. But I have to. For me, I have to split design and creativity with what the ability is here. Even if I have the capacity to design 10 chairs and I'm displaying them for people to see, maybe I don't have the ability to make them just yet. But maybe in time I can develop the ability to make them, and we can have a nice exhibition of them, or I can, you know, or whether it's a group of people and they feel empowered to design and make, and like that there's no barrier towards it. I mean, that's the barrier that we're trying to break here, is like the barrier between designing and making and knowing it can be made. You know, it's like, so that's sort of it's the battle, but it has to be free, because otherwise, I mean, number one of creativity is have to be free. So it's like a basic.
I love that. I wanted to ask you about this idea of using limitations as a design parameter, and coming back to your visit to Ligna, because when you went there, you saw incredible machines and you were inspired. You saw the potential. But you quickly realized you could only afford a 3-axis machine.
Yeah.
And that led to something called the Joburg Method. So what is the Joburg Method?
It's a simple set of rules that can be applied to the design of any item within any dimension, and the designer, if he knows the method, should be able to enable the entire factory to know how to execute the product with a simple set of instructions, all on the same line and the same set of machinery.
So any worker in the factory can be interchanged.
Well,
in theory.
Yes. So you can break up. There are a standardized set of rules from design. So I can teach a designer, this is how it works. You design this. The factory knows how this is made, and it flows through. So you can segmentize the entire production line. You allow people to become specialists within their core skill. Not that we keep people within that, because people migrate and they move, and you want them to do. So we want multi-skilled people within this floor. But it's easy to introduce another person to a simple skill. I think the biggest blessing that is the fact that I was struck by this limitation, because my mind was going further. You know, 5-axis, I was going further, and like literally after 7 years of doing it, I got breakthroughs like last month. So it doesn't end. You know, it's not like and interestingly enough, the breakthroughs became more because I became a better designer technically, like being able, you know, modeling, and so a modeling method that then becomes applicable to the machines. But I mean, what we do is a very low level of machining. If you go to Europe and you go to these shows, you see what they actually achieve with 5-axis and multi-axis CNC machining. And what's interesting about what they do is they've taken the traditional way and they've developed the machines to make it traditionally. So everything that you see being made is made on a traditional way of cutting or angle or joining or whatever. So, and that, for that they had to go to a 5-axis. Now I'm a bit stuck on a 3-axis because I couldn't get a 5-axis. So now I'm adapting my capability by still learning from what traditional joinery is and then just compiling it to be traditional joinery. So, because a 3-axis machine can cut in all X, Y, and Z. You can cut shapes out of it. It's just a long way around. But I don't want to lose the tradition because this business can't exist without it. And if you too far down the track of losing that, then you can't recoup it. You know, I want to go to Germany and recruit wood workers so that they can come and teach us about the etiquette and the way of doing things, because we lose it because we don't have it. So that's rich, but I know it. What I wish is that my people, the people that work for the business, not my people, people that work for the business, that they don't lose it and that they will retain it, because we have to retain it so that it becomes a continuous learning environment for this thing to actually work. I mean, I think I missed the simplicity of what that business was. Like, you can make a table, you can spend 3 days or 4 days and make it, you have a customer and you sell it, and everything's very controlled because you know what money you're getting. It's a business that's controlled. Having to be a furniture producer and knowing that you're going to have to make, there's a lot of people to keep busy, that you have to make a lot of work and take the same amount of care in each piece. Because I don't want people to, I want people to love this table. I want them to resonate with this business when they buy this table, and I want them to know that I've put a lot of love into this table. So I mean, the trick is to actually get to the point where we're all on the same mind and we're all doing it because we love it, and like people enjoy the product because it's done out of passion.
Yeah, so automation, large-scale production, these things open the market to you and enable you to grow the business, but we still want to try and keep the tradition. Is there a tradition of woodwork in South Africa?
Look, it's a dying tradition, unfortunately, because the old companies have sort of moved. So, I mean, strange. I mean, I'm sort of the oldest among furniture makers in this country. Like, there's a resurgence of it. Like, so we need to, like, we're getting the passion now. We need to keep it. And that's why it needs a strong. Talk about scalability. I mean, we all talk about a scalable business. Like, it has to be scalable. Yes, I've got CNC machines can cut a lot of components, but doesn't mean my business is scalable. Like, it will only scale if everybody is aligned, the humans are aligned, we're doing everything according to the way that it should be done. It's the machine doesn't make it scalable. It's the people doing it that make it scalable. Yeah, it's a difficult problem to solve. For me, it's been difficult.
We're going to come back to the factory in a moment, but I want to quickly talk about architecture. So your sister is an architect, and I've heard you say that people have asked you, why would you want to venture from furniture making into architecture when you have a perfectly good furniture making business? So what's your thinking when it comes to pursuing architecture?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, apart from the fact that it's always been a passion, the sister's influence, our dad's influence, but just from a simple perspective, I want to be very good at executing in timber and using all kinds of timbers in all suitable applications. So that's fine furniture, but that's also structural timber. It's laminates, it's boards, it's all sorts of wood products. I want to add value to timber. That's if I feel as if I can produce a product that can add value to timber, and there's a market for it. Yes, that's what we want to sell, because first of all, we're a small market. If you want a strong business, you have to be quite diverse in what you offer. We're not in the US where I can build a business on one item. So it has to be quite diverse, and for that the timber is diverse, and so structural timber allows you to firstly use local material, which you can also apply in furniture, but only specific furniture. You cannot apply it to export furniture. Local, okay, that's a very broad thing. That's a whole topic on its own. But I believe you can make exportable product using locally grown timber, and that is in a structural form. So to develop a business which has a vast and a strong product offering, it has to include it. Now, the limitation was always the process, and when the process came online, then the possibility came online. You spoke about my sister. She helped me with all my designs initially. Like, can you draw this for me? And like, that's like years ago, 18 years ago. So there was a lot of learning. She was practically like, I would sit with her, I want to do this, and then we sit and we draw it. That's how it worked in the first 3-4 years of the business. There's lots of learning there in terms of architecturally looking at how an architect would look at these things. Having that exposure was really valuable to me.
I know a lot of architects that make furniture or design furniture, and I'm just trying to think. I don't know many furniture makers that go into architecture. Yeah. How do you carry your design philosophy from the principles of furniture design into the field of architecture?
Everything that I make, especially chairs, I have to be very strong. I have to withstand the commercial environment for 5 years. So my joinery has been tested, and so for me it's just applying that scale to a larger scale, and then having that confidence that it will, at least in theory, when an engineer looks at it, tick the boxes of being a viable solution for the execution. In a way, my furniture has been prototyping for my joinery techniques.
You mentioned that you are one of the older furniture makers in the market. What does the future furniture makers look like in the country?
Look, I'm not sure, to be honest. But what I've seen is, we just came back from Cape Town Furniture Week, and the amount of young people and older people that I spoke to, specifically saying to me, they've recently started developing the love for making things with their hands and getting into it, and how to get into it. And I think it has to do with the movement within call it our geopolitically, call it in our hearts. But I think people are resonating towards making. And what I could see is like this industry we're quite strong because we have our own unique voice. But it's almost like people are like being drawn towards it. And me knowing what's, like like I've got serious passion for this thing. I know where I want to take the business. And if I can do that, then I know the industry is going to be there right next to me. And that then creates quite a big opportunity for a South African design voice. Challenge that we may have is to make the stuff. Like, it's really the challenge for me, because I haven't figured out how to make my stuff. And if I can't figure out how to make my stuff, then how can we, like, everybody's going to have the same problem.
So what do you mean to figure out how to make it?
Like, you want to be freedom to design. Say 10 random designers, they need a place that can produce their stuff for them, you know, because I don't see everybody walking the same path that I'm walking, because it's a 20-year path. But if we can figure out, if this, I am talking in the first person, but there's a team of people, it's not just me. But if we can figure out how to make things, and we can be very enabling for people, I can imagine people say, like, can you help me make this item for me? And I say, yes, of course, we've got the capacity, we have the know-how, we can make it, you can make your, you know, so it's like being like free in what you can do, and you need an industry that's free. In Europe, people are free because there's a lot of people, qualified factories, people that can produce your stuff at the level that it needs to be. Like, as soon as you get into numbers and you need to produce a lot, it's a different ball game. It's a different business. It's not necessarily the mindset of a designer. There are great designer makers in this country, like great ones. Like, so we all have our own way of doing it. But there's, for me, it's like a broader picture. I don't know. I don't even know how that coincides with design IP, or, you know, like people being free. I don't know how to my mind, it shouldn't matter. Like, it should be like we're all creative. Shouldn't be ego. I don't know how we come past the ego, because the ego is a stupid thing. But ideally, you want to be in a position where you say, like, we can imagine the most amazing development, and we are able to execute on the vision of this most amazing development. Yeah. Having that, basically, that muscle, and that obviously has a lot of people doing a lot of work, a lot of artwork, it's a whole community.
You are a very enabling person. I read that you at one point hired 30 people off the street, educated them, showed them how to use machinery, essentially trained them. So, speaking specifically about the younger generation, and I'm seeing a lot of younger people who are moving into tech, wanting to be influencers or crypto traders, or jobs like that. What is the opportunity for young people in the furniture business?
I think there's the opportunity to learn a lot, like to come and do something that you enjoy doing. Financial opportunity, it's like with anything. Like, it's hard work. It will be hard work. Life's not easy. But I think there's an inherent passion for us. So, and if you do it, meaning if you have the inclination to make, and you do it, then you'll just love every minute, and you'll be good at it inevitably. And there's a future for you in that. And you don't need to, like, as long as you're working hard and you like doing your thing, and you like honest in the way that you do it, like, you'll be able to fend for yourself, make a living. The market is massive. I wish I could say this business has the ability to unlock markets for designers, and it can come in, and it can just be, amazing. In that instance, I will say, please, I need help. Come and work for me, and let's. But I mean, there are realities, realities. Being able to pay people's salary, because you can come for a week, come for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then it becomes like you're helping a lot, but we're not paying you. So I mean, I really like, if I could have like a will, it would be that this business has more muscle to like support a bigger vision, and that we can have training programs where youngsters can come in and learn. They're not bound by this business. They can go out, do their own thing. They can stay in this business and just learn and practically just help us make, because at the end of the day, it's all we're doing. We're just like making furniture. Like, it's come to work, you do a portion in making furniture, and there's lots to learn, in between that. I'm hoping that interaction becomes more and more prevalent, because like if I had a vision for the business, I would have an amazing group of young people surrounding and putting their passion into doing whatever. I mean, today you're gonna, I don't know, sort out a CNC machine jig board. It's a practical thing, but it has to be done, or I don't know, make improvement on the sanding tables, or like practical things, helping to solve the business's problems one step at a time, until it just becomes this thing that everybody can enjoy, and hopefully then it's good enough to say, like, yes, we can make anything. We know we have the systems, we have the skill, we have the team. This is a part. If there's a drawing that exists and of it, we can make it, and it can come into any furniture piece. And we know how we're going to make it. We know when we're delivering it, and we've got the entire system of, servicing our customers. Because I think for me that's been like the most difficult thing in my journey, is like getting to the customers, because like without that you've got nothing. So and yeah, like, thankfully I'm a nice guy, so people forgive me. But I've had to like ask for a lot of forgiveness over the years.
So if you had to think back to when you were starting out, and you had to imagine you have a passion for furniture making, but you are now a young adult, a young person wanting to start your own factory, where would you begin?
I would find a place to learn. So probably come and ask me for a job, and see if there's a way, and then learn, because that's where you're going to cut your cost of doing it. Then if you have the acumen, because it's a real thing. I mean, I'm not a layman, and I'm struggling. So if you really have the passion to have your own business, people normally know. They know.
Yeah.
So but if you have that passion, a proper business should be the place where somebody wants to come and work, and they like, flip, I don't want to do my own thing. This is too much fun. Like, this place is not that. Let me just tell everybody, it's not that. But if it can't be that place, then it's not it's not the business that it should be. It will never be a success. So if I can't get this business to that place where people say, like, I'm going to commit my life to it, because I mean, it's really sad to lose skill. Like, I've lost a lot of skill over the years, and it's amazing, because it's enabling both sides. So I'm not complaining, but imagine if you could retain all your skill at all times.
So people join you, you train them up, and then they move on, they leave for another job.
For I mean, seasons. I mean, you're talking about 18 years. There's lots of seasons involved. And people are not meant to stay in each other's lives forever, not always. But I'm thinking, I'm for me, I have to do some introspection. Like, am I the cause of people not wanting to stay? And that's where the leadership has to go into in order to say, okay, well, how do we fix the issues that I'm causing potentially? These are all small arbitrary things. Maybe the business couldn't grow enough with the growth of a person. I mean, you can't do anything. You can't do anything about that.
I think the fact that you are having that introspection is a clear sign that, you know, there's a lot of thought that you put into the way you grow your business. So I'm inclined to think that you're not the reason people leave, and people leave for many reasons. But it seems like you are trying to cultivate a responsible way of teaching and of working and of learning.
Look, I don't even want to say it, because I think by saying it, it's just like I'm doing it. Like, so I think that's what it has to be. I'm not saying I'm doing it. So that's where one that is where one has to get to, because I mean, if you think about it, imagine like building a city out of wood. Imagine how much work that is. Like, and you want to have that vision. You want to say, I want to build a skyscraper. Now, just saying that comes with, I mean, you know, you're an architect. Say that to an engineer. It's like, dude, you're crazy. Because what, you know, so many hoops that you need to get through to get to that point. So I am naive, but I'm not naive to the actual task. But if that's the vision that I have, it has to become really, really strong. Otherwise, it's just going to say, oh, we have this vision, but you know, in another 10 years' time, it will probably die. It can't sustain itself.
Is the future of architecture in timber?
No, I can't say that. No, I think that's being naive about it. No, I mean, all materials are good. I mean, I don't prefer one above the other in terms of architecture. I think everything is right.
Come on, David. You definitely prefer wood.
No, I do prefer wood, but I don't frown upon rocks.
Or glass.
or glass. No, I think you can go like crazy about it, like a bit too over the top. But I think structurally timber is just beautiful, so it makes sense to apply it as broad as you can, but within reason. You know, I like to, like, sometimes you go like a rule, only this. You know, it's also a statement on its own, but it's with the right setting, I would say. Yeah.
What are we missing when it comes to sustainability in terms of furniture making?
Maybe the actual art to follow through on it. So, I mean, we can say we're sustainable, and we can say like this is important to us. But like, if you are sustainable, why don't you use the timber that's growing outside here? Like, no, you're only sustainable, but it has to be imported.
Yeah, that was my question.
We don't need to get too precise about it. Like, if you are worried about the carbon credits of ash coming from America like this, it's still carbon negative. It's like, it's a sustainable material. It's sustainable wherever you use it. But I think if you want to preach it, you have to like, I'm not into global warming. I can just say it as plainly. I think protecting the environment and taking care of it should be your duty as a person. I don't need to worry about the warming of the earth. It just should be inherent in me if I want to strive to be as optimal. So as a business, that's what you need to strive for. That's meaning using your local resources as much as possible, making sure you have as little as possible waste in the way that you apply it, using all materials responsibly for where it comes from, and holding people accountable. Like if you're stuffing up the forest, please don't supply me that timber. But please, I mean, the timber growing in Europe, the way that they're managing the forests is amazing. It's an amazing industry and economy around it, and you know, so timber from that aspect is really amazing. So
the price of oak has shot up.
Yeah.
Price of ash also shot up. How do we make a desirable piece of furniture from wood that is affordable and sustainable?
You just start by looking around you. You start by looking what's growing right around you, and if you see that, you'll be surprised at what you can make. So you only need that to open up your eyes. If you want to think long term, well, you can just go speak to PG Bison, Sappi, foresters right all over the country. You identify which plantations are actually suitable for let's call it furniture production timber. You let those forests grow. You start thinning it and you start growing saw logs. You start waiting a bit longer. And in a way that's being done, but all that timber is just going into mines and it's going into second-rate stuff. But I really do believe, I mean, I've used green wattle on a recent exhibition. That's working for water rubbish that's being used. You can make beautiful furniture out of it. So it's just so there's a perspective, a market development. Markets underdeveloped, they want oak. No, you show a person a piece, they want ash. This is what they want. That's what they have in their mind. So their minds need to get into what can you get that's local, and you need to develop the supply chain and then strategically start implementing species into that supply chain. So again, you need muscle. And you need the right customers, which definitely the customers are looking for it. So I think that's the way of introducing it to people with buying power and getting it in there, because that is an extremely enabling thing. Because timber is a big portion of the cost, and if you start counting the wood that goes into the stable, you get a fright, because you also lose all your inspiration to be experimental, because you don't want to mess up the wood.
Very true.
So you need cheap timber to play, basically. Yeah.
Do you envisage a world where there is a greater balance outside of this factory? You once said you have a philosophy of design, build, and farm. Mm-hmm. Would you ever consider a fully circular business plan?
I think that's the goal for every human. I think, in a way, like it's to be self-containing and self-sustainable. It takes a lot of people to do that. The idea of from seedling to end user is fascinating, because it ties in at both ends, whether it be food or raw material. And because my dad grows timber and I studied agriculture, that has always been a sort of a link for me. Now, at the moment, it's my dad's farm, and I'm not a shareholder, or it's my dad's business. So it's a great joy to buy from him. But I think ultimately, speaking about that timber and strategic timber growing and all of that, there has to be a shared vision at least, so that it can tie in, and being clever with the materials that you have. So what can you build out of timber? You know, what can you build out of simple processes that sort of just like offer a product offering that's really surprising.
Your wife, Jasmyn, is a lovely person. She's a very talented designer herself. Recently at the Cape Town Furniture Fair, you joined forces and created a bench that's got graphics from her, furniture design and making from you. Describe that collaboration. What is that like?
Yeah, sure. So, I was going to say my wife is my secret weapon. She's amazing. It's funny because I've always known that my creativity will be amplified by the interaction I would have with my wife. For me, there has always been a missing portion, and it's almost that warmth and the color that she brings to it. So, I mean, we've got lots of inches and things like that. So she's just been tied up in the wrong thing, and we've only recently started releasing her creativity into my basically business. And the reception for her work has just been, it's been really, it's been amazing, because I think out of the nature and the fact that we, husband and wife, it's it's almost as if we reflect each other, so I'm super happy for her, because she's just busy, having people that love her stuff. It's great to see. So my wife, but another designer being out of it. I think I want more design to come out of it. But I want the continuation of design to come from it. Not sure how it will work, but it's been an amazing addition. Amazing addition. And we have this amazing print collection that she's been reinterpreting. That also has a story around a cast that we built for Kleine Rijke. It's just really beautiful how the story, which I'm not telling, is tying in, and I'm really appreciative of the way that people respond to her work.
So Kleine Rijke is what exactly?
No, Kleine Rijke, it's a long story. Kleine Rijke is a building, but it's also a brand that was my wife's idea when she moved back to her family farm. And it's a venue that we built together, starting as a building, but also translating into a brand, and which we see as a lifestyle brand that sort of will form part of David Krynauw. Now, Kleine Rijke is a building, but it can be another building. It's more of an idea, which means little riches. So it's the richness within the small items, richness from small. I love that. So farm where we built the building is on Andries Pretorius' original land, which my wife is the 7th generation on the farm. So wow. There's also a cultural responsibility, which sits within the family, and a cultural expression.
Yeah.
And that's why the Cape Dutch facade, Cape Dutch extrusion, that's why it became, it just became natural. It was an easy design, because it had to be.
It was there already.
It had to be that.
Okay, let's talk about the last few things, scary things. We've seen a rapid rise of AI in design. What do you think the impact will be on furniture making?
I think it will be polarizing. It can only be polarizing. So I think there is a choice to be made between people. And I'm not saying the choice is now. I'm just saying at some point. I follow it very closely. My brother's into it very much in his career, and I've been watching it closely because it's important.
Have you experimented with any AI design tools?
Let me say no. I'm staying away from it. And I know how naive it sounds. I'm not like, I know the consensus is if you don't adapt, you're going to fall by the wayside, basically. So maybe I'm naive, but I think as it becomes more polarizing, people will gravitate towards what I aim to stand for, and that's from human generation, human movement, human interaction, coming from human. I'm not saying we are against technology. We can use technology. We are using technology, but the creative essence, I feel, shouldn't be corrupted. And for me, it feels like a corruption. Maybe it's my perception, but I'm not. It doesn't sit well with me. That's where I stand with it. I mean, apart from the fact that we will soon wake up and the penny will drop that that mass unemployment will be inevitable. And I think these things will start to happen because that's what we are up against. And if you want to be serious about working with our hands and earning our daily bread, then we work with our hands and we'll have food on the table. It's a simple concept. Like, I know all I have to worry about is that. So something can come and like almost steal my creativity. Because all it is it's mimicking the human. It's just copying us, and it's copying us proficiently because it's driven us into these mediums that it's able to speak very quickly, rapidly, and we can't keep up.
Do you think there's an AI that can learn a David Krynauw style and assist you?
Look, I think as soon as it gets into artificial general intelligence, agents, working humanoid robots, all of that, then it's as good as a human. It will come and learn. It will be able to adapt. That's how far it will go. I think it will be able to fulfill a lot of tasks within this factory. But I'm not interested in going there if it means the demise of me. If it means the demise of this, I'm not going to become something that it's not.
The more we transition into this high-tech, AI-driven landscape, there does seem to be an audience and a growing audience for tactile, handmade, bespoke, that type of furniture. So I agree with you, it's polarizing, but I also wonder if there isn't an evolution that is going to hit the furniture making industry where we are suddenly able to design and make highly customizable pieces.
Yeah, I think it's opening the mind to sort of. It's almost like it's giving you the competition you require I think it. That's why I'm speaking about 10 chairs. Like you have to have this explosive creativity to keep up, and maybe it's what we need just to give us this head start. Our hearts are drawn to making, drawn to these things that we actually value. As soon as you give you like anything on there is, and maybe it becomes really good and it becomes more original. but you're probably right. It can potentially lead into the. I mean, why am I seeing a movement of people that want to start making? You know, why do I feel that? Why are you here? Really interested in timber construction? You know, that timber construction vision that I'm talking about, a city, is not going to happen without you. You're like, there's a whole movement, like group of people that sort of feel it, and that's why you're asking the question, because what is it actually going to become?
David, thank you. You've given me so much to think about. I think the space that you've created here is incredibly exciting. I cannot wait to see you expand your business into the other massive half of this new factory. I think your vision for a new way of working in your business is inspiring, and I think that you have so much expertise, so much experience. If someone is in the right position, set up to make a furniture business skyrocket, it's you. And I cannot wait to see your new designs and some of your new work, because the project you did at the waterfront is highly inspiring, and the work you guys are producing, like at the furniture fair, is highly inspiring. So I wish you all the best, and thank you so much for trusting me and giving me this time.
No, it's amazing. Well, I mean, your work is also inspiring. So, so thank you. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate the sentiment. It's great to chat. So.